I think we need to stop looking for a China fix.
From the Quad partnership to the I2U2 forum, India has been taking on China on every front. Hand in hand with New Delhi, Washington has also taken the route of indirect confrontation with Beijing. To that effect, a new Quad seems to be forming, this one in the Middle East. Why would India be helping the US build a railway line in the Middle East? How are India and USA taking on China's BRI? New Delhi looks all set to beat Beijing in its own Gulf game. On 10th March 2023, the world woke up to a major geopolitical development. Iran and Saudi Arabia had signed a deal to restore relations. Generations-long enmity and snapped diplomatic ties since 2016 finally had hopes of ending. The two nations have been allegedly fighting proxy wars in Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, and every bit of land in the region. They usually sit on opposite sides of the high table, both powers to reckon with. Although the event in itself may have likely been for the greater good, China's involvement in the deal was a matter of concern. In fact, it was a deal brokered by Beijing, and what it signaled was a clear diplomatic win for Xi Jinping's China. It may well have been the sign of the times, though the US and Saudi have been on rocky terms for some time. Issues of human rights records and differences over crude oil production have marred a decades-old friendship. Of course, Iran and America have had no formal diplomatic ties for over 4 decades now.
We're going to react to Saudi Arabia, and they're doing consultation when they come back, and we will take action.
China's positioning as a global superpower plays out on the simple logic of you miss, I hit. The you being US. At the Boao Forum in April 2022, Xi Jinping had unveiled his Global Security Initiative. It was a clear message to the world that Beijing wants to sit at the head of the table. The era of US-Russia dominance was over. The two Middle East enemies shaking hands was a multi-dimensional win for Beijing, and that's what concerned New Delhi. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the bloodbath on crude and commodities markets, nations have realized the importance of free flow of oil. Peace between Iran and Saudi ensures exactly that for China, which gets over 40% of its crude imports from the Gulf. When Xi Jinping visited Saudi Arabia in December 2022, he pledged to buy more oil and gas from the region. Then he attacked the dollar dominance, pushing for trade settlements in yuan. On May 11, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar set a clear agenda for the nation's growth.
I think we need to stop looking for a China fix. That Indian growth cannot be built on Chinese efficiency.
What the foreign minister was saying was that it was time India's growth should not depend on the efficiency of Chinese industries, that it was time to set up manufacturing in India. To that end, India has been playing the China plus one part, and to that end, India is looking towards Middle East. New Delhi's Middle East voyage is crucial, not just as a counter to China, but also to ensure a strengthening economy. China's growing influence is visible in their Belts and Roads initiative. 17 Middle East and North African nations have signed up for Xi Jinping's new Silk Road. All in all, there are 139 members of the BRI, including China, accounting for 40% of the global GDP. The concern is all too real for both New Delhi and Washington, and to that end, there seems to be developing a new Quad. Riyadh was at the center of a global chess game with national security advisors of India, USA, UAE, and Saudi Arabia meeting on May 7. The White House said the four nations met to advance their shared vision for a more secure, prosperous Middle East. More importantly, the statement also mentioned talks to make the Middle East region more interconnected with India. Ajit Doval met his American counterpart Jake Sullivan days ahead of the India, US, Australia and Japan Quad Summit in Sydney. Their meeting gave fuel to the rumors of India and US planning a BRI-like project to take on China. There are reports that the US is backing a massive infrastructure undertaking to connect the major players of the Middle East through railways and then getting India into the game with port connectivity. If true, the news is good for New Delhi. Connectivity with the Middle East will help ensure free-flowing oil and gas from the region. It will also likely reduce costs for India. At the offset, given India's affinity and expertise in railways, Indian industries can score big on the production and architecture front. It will also be a diplomatic equalizer of sorts for India if a strategic partnership of BRI-like scale with two of the biggest Middle Eastern powers comes to fruition. With one quad in the Indian Ocean region and another likely grouping in the Middle East, India has been working overtime to clip the dragon's wings.